Warning: the following video might contain moments that might be too disturbing for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Nothing was working. Garlic, one of the hokier vampire myths, was completely useless. He was prepared for that. He had to bounce emphatically off the tumbling wave of raking claws and gashing teeth, crushed frankly under the mass. No big deal, he thought to himself as he ran down the musty hallway, putting some distance between him and the mob of killing dead. Each foot of his foot sent a donut cloud of dust up from the centuries-old carpet, thickening the already hazy air. He zigged into a room that he knew would win its way through the labyrinth upper floors. Even in his frantic state, he managed to marvel at the decrepit stateliness of the rundown manor. This had been a bedroom for a daughter of the long-dead bloodline, indicated by the late 1800s dolls watching him with sightless eyes from inside the ornate canopy bed. Even in his hectic survivalist state, he remembered reading about the sad tale of the daughter while researching the house. She starved to death after falling down a waterless well in the backyard. Sad but unrelated to the calamity he was now facing. The clanking of the various items in his swollen doctor's bag was inaudible over the tortured, hungry wails of his would-be devourers. Through fingers nubbed with adrenaline, he fumbled in the bag, looking desperately for another life-saving trick. Finally finding what he wanted, he yanked out a bottle and threw great leaping arcs of holy water backwards onto the cruel, hollow faces in the ravenous pile. The water mixed with the group's murky slaver as it drenched their grotesque features. If there was a telltale sizzling sound, he couldn't hear it over his own harsh breathing and the tortured cries from the frog, some of them even going so far as to croak out words like "kill" and "eat." Even if he had heard sizzling, actions spoke louder than words, and the mash of living corpses tripping over each other to feed on him wasn't slowing down in any meaningful way, which was the effective he actually needed. To be expected, he told himself, comforted by the heft of his bag, which was chock full of an arsenal to be used against these creatures. He continued to run while rummaging while running. He needed to make sure that he didn't run into any dead ends in his great Victorian mansion. He felt confident that he had studied the layout of the house, enough to know which bedrooms had two exits, which hallways he could turn down in a circuit, and how to flee back to the great staircase in the lobby. He always needed a route back to that colossal staircase, so he would escape back out into the outside world. Passing a suit of armor from a long-forgotten dynasty, he waited precious seconds to topple it onto the floor behind him. It barely presented a hurdle to the frenzy pursuing him. He pressed on. He zagged into the old trophy room, which was adorned with such a consistent and deep crimson immediately overwhelmed him with a sense of being swallowed by some immense being obsession that was exploitedly amplified by the innumerable carcasses throughout the room. Zebras, lions, crocodiles, gazelle, all with their heads mounted on the walls. Curiously, instead of having the placid Satan's look of most animal trophies, the taxidermists had instead decided to capture their last moment of fear and panic, forever freezing them in this intense expression, as they spun around the body of an imposingly large bear with its paws thrown up to protect its face from a death blow. He noticed that many of the creatures he had never seen before. He assumed that they were long extinct, but common for the era, like perhaps the carrier pigeon, Tasmanian tiger, or the dodo. Even while evading the captured, he had time to ponder if some of the more fantastical beasts might be results of the Victorian habit of creating fraudulent or joke taxidermy. His mind used this to explain away the mammals with hundreds of legs or the large birds with decidedly human faces. His frantically searching hand finally seized on its targeted prize, for first time, he completely stopped in his tracks as he spun around, holding up a large, intricate crucifix. A skeletal hand clawed out from the tangle and snatched it in a impossibly strong grip, splintering the cross into pieces immediately. He turned to run again, feeling cold fingers brush against his cloak. Always a possibility, he had told himself, sprinting now to better secure a lead between him and the bloodthirsty fiends. Finally, he felt comfortable about how much gloomy hallway lay between him and certain death. So he began fishing in his bag again. He suddenly became acutely aware of how entirely drained of stamina he had become, realizing that he needed to be less particular about which specialized weapon to use. His steps started to lag as he showered silver powder on the villains. Their shining yellow eyes didn't even blink as they passed through the dust cloud. His breathing became more labored, and he threw handfuls of salt at them. This only seemed to make their gaping maws leak stinging through more freely. He exhaustedly blundered his way into the master bedroom, which seemed somehow more well lit than the other rooms, as through it had trapped light in here through some unknown method. Even after years of disuse, under layers of spiderwebs and dust, the radiant emerald colors of the room held a regality. Gold inlay wove through every bit of furniture, ivory or jewels encased the candle holders and clocks. The curtains were thick and rich, the rug dismally ornate, the barbecue chairs, wardrobes, and bed all made of a matching dark wood, most likely the now endangered grenadelle, held together the air of casual opulence that permeated the room. Even in his drained state and desperate flight, he noticed the massive family portrait of the one-time occupants, forever immortalized in paint. The family's mutual disdain was worn plainly on their features. His tired mind pulled up more information he had deragged up in his research of the Blind Nine's ultimate demise. How after the youngest daughter's death in the well, more of the children fell to misadventures, some being consumed by unknown viruses while on safari, others having never returned from Arctic expeditions, most of them simply hanging themselves from the mammoth chandelier in the lobby. The matriarch eventually buried her husband alive in a basement inside of a burlap sack before absconding with the family fortune, never to be seen again. It was all information that was of little use to him at the moment. He finally looped back to the great staircase, aware that his grand hunt might not end fruitfully this night. He grabbed handfuls of apparent vampire weaknesses, supposed Christ nails and blessed rose petals, while horsehair and children's teeth throwing them behind him like the flower girl at Satan's wedding. He fell rather than ran down the stairs, his legs on the verge of seizing up. His almost empty bag spun across the marble floor, cutting a trail through the dead leaves strewn about, causing the final occupant of the bag to spell out the revolver. He had been saving this for last, since it was a brute force solution. Of course, it shot silver bullets, but those are deadly to regular people, too, not just vampires. He had wanted to slay this accused den of undead with more fitnesses, but he supposed that the time for practically had come. Not bothering to attempt standing on his exhausted legs, he rolled towards the revolver, grasping it with shaky hands. He turned to level it at the horde tumbling down the stairway towards him. He shot. Then he shot 5 more times. Then the gun clicked, and clicked, and clicked. He then gained some small satisfaction right before the host descended on him that they did react to getting shot. Their ivory flesh had peeled away where the bullets met them. The bloodless wounds bloomed at the sight of impact. He had seen the glowing jade bones underneath. They reached him and predictably began to drink his blood. They also bit into his flesh greedily, scooping his innards with molasses, breaking his bones to extract mallow. One of the fiends leaned into his screaming face and whispered to him, confesses the mysterious nature of his victorious foes. As he was disarticulated, he laughed. So that was Mann, Tract, Lach, or Man Plans and God Laughs, a creepypasta that was themed around vampires. And my thoughts on this creepypasta, it's actually a pretty great one, and it has like a pretty much have a fun little haunted house feel with the Victorian mansion with the vampires that's roaming around, and there's like a lot of interesting details, for the house, like sounds like pretty much dark history, like the family that lives in that Victorian mansion is died in very tragic ways, possibly after the daughter died, so there's that, and also the ending is pretty brutal, like, the vampire pretty much wins, and the hunter pretty much had to, like, face his demise, in order where he's become the vampire, the become like, the vicious vampire species. So there's that. And anything else with the story? Yeah, this is actually has like a lot of like a spooky feel to it with the Victorian mansion setting. So yeah. So overall, this is actually a pretty good creepypasta that's themed around vampires. So hope you guys enjoyed this creepypasta reading video. So like and comment this video and subscribe more content. So bye bye.